My 31F husband, M30, steals my hobbies and becomes better at them, and it enrages me. My F31 husband, M30, is a competitive nerd. I have been feeling down and demotivated for over a year now and don't have the energy or interest to cultivate my hobbies. I used to read many psychology books and took a 7 weeks intensive course on it as well this year. I am really considering going back to school to learn more since I've always been interested in it. Not sure I can make it a career on its own, but that's another topic. I'm also into yoga. These are the two main things I enjoy. Now, I encouraged my husband to join yoga classes with me, but then he started to go almost every day and I almost felt like he was fixated on becoming better at it than I am. He has also started reading this year. He read almost no books in the last 6 years I know him, but now read like 12 books so far this year. Minus 95% were my books or books I've recommended to him. He lately picked a book himself, Amazon recommendations based on previous purchases, which is meant for psychotherapists, very advanced and frankly beyond what I've read on that topic. It is all cool, and on one side I am happy for his growth and that he takes interest, but I don't like competition and it all makes me feel so small. He is supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. I work in a corporation and make more money than him, so it is not like I am a total loser in his eyes. Why can't he just pick his own hobbies? Why does he have to steal mine and become more advanced at it? Am I salty? I don't know how to approach this with him. Is this normal in relationships? 1. I am not upset that he is participating in things I encouraged him to do. What enrages me is how he treats me once he takes up on those hobbies. I wanted to share my hobbies to connect with him. I found yoga very therapeutic and wanted him to check it out, especially since he has issues with his back. I have been doing yoga for years. Sometimes I am very regular with it, sometimes I take breaks. Once he started to do it, he would go almost every day and put goals to achieve certain poses. Great. And I just feel I should not even claim it as my hobby anymore. It is like I feel pressure from him because otherwise, it is not even worth it, in his eyes. He has been swimming semi-professionally since he was 7 years old until 26. He is very competitive, especially with anything that involves sports/movement. 2. Reading. Okay. I have been reading quite a bit for the last 6 years we have been together, and I would share some insights I found compelling/interesting with him. I would recommend books to him. I wanted him to read them so we could talk more about it. He started doing it this year. Great. Instead of elaborate conversations on these topics, he comes to me with an executive summary of the chapter he has just read. He tells me about things he has read as if I had no idea about them. Like he is breaking news to me. So yes, I am happy for him. I ask him questions, I ask his opinion, his perspective, but he does not ask me back. He does not care about my take on these things. It is just an outlet for him to talk about those subjects, but it does not involve me. What bothers me is that these hobbies used to be something I enjoy and I want my partner to enjoy it. However, it seems once he takes up on these activities he is determined to show me how good he is at them without accounting for a fact that I am too interested in them and we could share them and use for mutual growth. 3. My competitiveness. A lot of you point to me as the competitive one. There is some truth to that. I am definitely on a competitive spectrum somewhere, but I think he is just so much more. It almost doesn't make sense for him to do those things if it is not a competition against someone or something. He even told me that once, not in relation to this topic, just generally. I've always seen him as a competitive person in sports. I just never thought he would get competitive with me. I was doing those things for the last 6 years without competing with anybody and I was fine. That's why it shocks me how people judge that I am the competitive one. Why can't he just pick his own hobbies? Why does he have to steal mine and become more advanced at it? Weird way to phrase it after you. Now, I encouraged my husband to join yoga classes with me, and 95% were my books or books I've recommended to him. So you introduce the guy to things you enjoy and encourage him to participate, but now you're upset that he is participating and enjoying them. Am I salty? You sound insecure and depressed. I have been feeling down and demotivated for over a year now and don't have the energy or interest to cultivate my hobbies. You're creating false narratives as a result. I almost felt like he was fixated on becoming better at it than I am. Plus, he is supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. These are the lies that a depressed psyche tells itself. Maybe your husband is legitimately interested in these things, maybe he wants to be able to share them with you, maybe he even wants to keep at it as a way to encourage you since you haven't pursued them in over a year. Have you talked to him about it? Maybe he takes up your hobbies because he is interested in you and wants to have a constant connection with you. He knows you enjoy something and he wants to take the time to learn that hobby so he has something he can use to bond with you over. That's just my guess. Partially, for example, when he tells me about a book he read, which I had read a year ago, and explains everything in it, I tell him, well, you realize I read it too, with a laugh, not angrily. I also did tell him that I would appreciate if he engaged in a dialogue and perhaps took interest in my interpretation instead of giving me an executive summary of a book I've already read. I did tell him that I am not sure he is interested in discussing it with me and hearing what I have to say since he hasn't been doing it much after. He is annoyed when I ask questions sometimes. I feel like he thinks I am too dumb to understand what he meant. I haven't told him directly that I feel he is being competitive with me. Speaking about it that way somehow makes me feel even worse about myself. I know it is not rational or smart, but this is how I feel. It honestly seems like the only one competing here is you. And you say you are happy for his interests, but clearly you are not. And I think when a spouse starts rooting against the other that you aren't helping your relationship. Imagine turning yoga into a competition lmao. I can understand the frustration because you need your own space. My guess is he sees it as a way to connect, not competition. I mean, she says she encouraged him to do yoga with her and recommended the books, so he's actually doing exactly what she asked of him. He is supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. Can I ask, where does this come from? What leads you to believe that he feels this way? I.e., when I tell him about going back to school and just testing the waters with it, pursuing a degree in psychology, he tells me, that's great if that makes you happy, but I don't see you in a role of a therapist, which is fair enough. I don't think I see myself in that role either. But it does not have to be my end goal. I could do many other things, and bottom line, I just enjoy learning about it all. It is being dismissive of that idea from the get-go, without even giving it a thought/hope. When he reads a book that I read a year ago, he tells me about it as if I never have read it. He doesn't ask my take on something he just read, he explains it to me as if I didn't understand it the first time. Cancelled my daughter's baby shower. I have an 18-year-old daughter who is 7 months pregnant and is living with her boyfriend, his mom, and 5 other siblings. They live in the most ghetto part of town and live off food stamps. The only one who works is my daughter's boyfriend. He is a 17-year-old high school dropout. You can read more about this situation if you click on my username and look at my previous post. My daughter has keys to my house because I want her to know she always has a home with me. She has been coming over, without even asking, when my husband and I are not home to do her laundry. The problem is that she comes with her boyfriend's mom and all of her kids to come over with her. I have asked her several times not to do this, to either come alone or wait until we are home too. She doesn't listen. This has caused a fight between my husband and I. He wants me to change the locks. I refused. Then my daughter's father, we are separated, told me she came to spend the night with him after coming to him crying that her boyfriend had kicked her out of the house because he wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. Her father also told me that her boyfriend is doing cocaine or possibly heroin. The next day she went back to him without saying anything to anyone. Her dad and his side of the family were worried sick and frantically calling her. She took a whole day to finally tell them she is fine and dandy. I asked her about it and she said it wasn't a big deal. She said they have been having issues but are sorting it out. She denied he is doing drugs. I let it go. She had a car that I had given her, but then she got into a car and totaled it. 3 days ago she asked me if I could give her the car back. I told her I haven't gotten it fixed yet, and even if it was I wouldn't give it back to her. I'm not going to pay insurance on that car and I know she can't afford it herself. I told her if she moved back in with me I would allow her to have that car. We also talk about a joint account, checking and savings, that we have together. I tell her I am leaving the money in there, thousands of dollars, for when the baby is older and she decides to go to school. She says okay. Then yesterday, I get a call saying that my daughter tried to withdraw $2,000 from her school account. Luckily she had to make an appointment for inside the bank to withdraw the money from that specific account. My daughter scheduled an appointment for Friday to close the account and take all the money. The branch manager, a friend of mine, sends me a picture of the people trying to access the account. It was my daughter and the boyfriend's mom. The boyfriend's mom did all the talking. I try to call her to find out what's going on. No response. I call the bank and close both accounts, savings and checking. I then get my niece to go around by her to see what's going on. I call my niece and she puts my daughter on the phone. She tells me that she was going to buy a car with that money since I clearly am trying to use the old car to control her and get her to move back in, and that she doesn't need permission to access her money. I ask how it's her money if I saved all that for her. She said she needs a car for doctor's appointments and stuff. We keep going back and forth. We finally hang up in anger. 20 minutes later, she calls me and apologizes and says she never should have done that. My niece clearly talked to her and got through to her. My daughter asked if we could meet on Tuesday to talk things through and have my niece there to help mediate. I agree. She then asked me if I closed the checking account too. Said yes, and I would see her on Tuesday to give her that money, $800. That money is child support from her dad, and she hasn't touched that money since June because she lost her debit card and didn't know how to get a new one or couldn't be bothered to. We hang up. 1 hour later, I get a call from the bank saying she is calling and being rude, demanding her money. I'm dumbfounded. And I get a call from my daughter and she starts going off on me saying that the $800 is her money and that I better give it to her or else. I go off on her, telling her all the stuff I paid for her while she was an adult living with her boyfriend. A car, the insurance, her phone, medical bills, shampoo, deodorant, haircuts, eyebrows, clothes, bedroom set, etc. She gets angrier. I tell her we will talk Tuesday. She keeps going. I tell her, you know what? I am done. You can forget your baby shower. I'm not throwing it for you. Have your new mom, boyfriend's mom, host it for you. The baby shower was scheduled for November 14th, 2 weeks from now. TDR, daughter tried to steal from her college fund and cash out all the money. I closed the account plus her checking account, transferring the funds to a new account. I confront her and she apologizes. We decide to meet on Tuesday to talk and resolve our issues. We hang up. She then calls me back and demands her money from the checking account. I tell her we will discuss it on Tuesday. She keeps verbally attacking me and fighting. I finally have enough and tell her I won't be throwing her the baby shower anymore, scheduled in 2 weeks. I am a horrible mother for deciding to cancel the baby shower so last minute. Should I suck it up and throw it for her? This may be an unpopular decision, but I don't think you're horrible at all. It sounds like your daughter is in a bad situation and won't take the steps she needs to get out, and she needs to be the one to make that happen. It also seems like the boyfriend's mom may be manipulating her and calling the shots. It seems plausible that's the reason behind all of the back and forth. At some point, you have to stop enabling the poor behavior. Did my F21 boyfriend of 9 months, M27, rape me? TW, sexual assault mention, drinking, slight description of sexual acts. Hi, this is heavy, so let's get to it. My boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over 9 months and it has been wonderful. We live about an hour apart, we are in the Midwest, so we spend a lot of weekends together when we can. Recently though, we've hit a bit of a rough patch. I, with this being my first relationship, was questioning my feelings and if I was ready to date someone long term. This affected our sex life. We usually got intimate pretty regularly, like once or twice a day when together. However, a few days prior to this event, I had specified I wanted to take a break from sex so I could evaluate my feelings independently from it. He took it well and said he understood, and did not push it at the beginning of our weekend together. Enter last Saturday. We were watching college football, and I got pretty drunk. He was drinking as well, but stated that he was close to sober. After the game, I was super tired, so I went upstairs to take a nap. He followed, and we settled into bed. We were spooning, and I was still very drunk. I was slurring my words, having trouble walking, and overall didn't have a lot of control in what I was doing. I remember grinding against him in my sleep, but I wasn't doing it on purpose, more responding to his movements. The next thing I knew, we were naked and being intimate. I remember specifically not being able to keep my eyes open or verbally respond to him, or make any real movements. Kept fading in and out of consciousness, and wasn't present for a lot of it. He noticed this, and stopped and asked if I was awake, repeatedly hitting my face to keep my eyes open. He concluded that I was too drunk, and left me in bed and went downstairs. A short while later, he came back upstairs and got into bed. I thought he was going to apologize, so I fell asleep in his arms again, still very drunk. The next thing I know, again, we are having sex, again, this time until he finishes. When it was over I was still really foggy and I don't remember a lot of what happened. He realized what he had done and began to freak out, profusely apologizing but insisting that the second time I had mumbled yes, even though I don't remember that at all. We are apart again and with time I'm starting to think he raped me. I don't know what to do or how to move forward or if this was even rape or sexual assault at all, and I would really appreciate advice. This is my first post ever, so please let me know if I've done something wrong. Thank you.